this is probably the most in-depth video that I think we've done. Obviously, it's extremely hard to comb through the thousands of files that were released by the Department of Justice. Now, what we found is incredibly shocking, so make sure you stick around to the end, because we are going to play audio recordings, we're going to play videos, I'm going to show you guys some pictures that you definitely have not seen yet. So yeah, let's get into it. Everybody is talking about what the DOJ won't release, but nobody's talking about what's actually in the thousands of pages they did release. And what's in there is worse than you think. Now, according to a BBC article, co-conspirators being tracked down, Prince Andrew asking for inappropriate friends, and a 14-year-old girl being introduced to Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Covering the releases, the files include photos, videos, investigative documents, emails between FBI personnel, court filings, and internal communications. And buried beneath all of that is some genuinely disturbing material that explains exactly how Epstein's operation worked. First, let's talk about the co-conspirators. According to the BBC, among the documents released are emails from July of 2019, just days after Epstein's arrest, between FBI personnel, lays out the status of tracking these people down. Now, according to that email, 3 had been located in Florida and served with grand jury subpoenas. 1 in Boston, 1 in New York City, and 1 in Connecticut were also located and served. But 4 of the 10 were still outstanding. The email specifically mentions, quote, a wealthy businessman in Ohio, and notes that, quote, the remaining 3 are currently out of pocket. Here's what's interesting about that email. Most of the names are redacted, and the document shows 2 names that weren't blacked out, Maxwell and Les Wexner. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice, who's now in prison, and Les Wexner, the former Victoria's Secret CEO, who had a well-documented friendship with Epstein. Now, according to the BBC, Les Wexner's lawyers responded to this, and they essentially said that he was neither a co-conspirator or a target. But the other thing is that we don't know who the other names are. They're all redacted. And the law said the DOJ could only redact victim identities and information under active criminal investigation. So are these 8 other people under investigation? We don't know, and the DOJ hasn't explained. But the co-conspirators are not the most disturbing part. That is just the very tip of the iceberg of what we've uncovered. Let's talk about the actual abuse, the actual victims, how they were recruited, how they were groomed and trafficked. Now, one of the court documents in the release is a complaint filed against Epstein's estate and Ghislaine Maxwell in January of 2020. Now, it's a civil lawsuit from a victim identified only as Jane Doe, and the details in that complaint show exactly how Epstein's system worked from start to finish. According to the complaint, it all started in the summer of 1994 at Interlochen Arts Camp in Michigan. Now, Jane Doe was 13 years old. She was a student there in the voice program. Now, the document states she was sitting alone on a bench between classes when Epstein and Maxwell approached her. The complaint describes how Epstein bragged about being a patron of the arts, about giving scholarships to young talented artists, how they probed her about her background, her family situation, where she lived. As she got up to leave, according to the document, Epstein requested her mother's phone number. Now, she was alarmed but feared she couldn't refuse, so she gave it to her. A few weeks later, according to the complaint, Epstein called her home in Florida. Now, he spoke with her mother about mentoring young kids and providing scholarships for the arts. He invited both of them to his mansion in Palm Beach, and he sent a driver to pick them up, and that's when the grooming really began. The document describes how over several months, Epstein gave himself the title of her godfather, while Maxwell acted like an older sister. They took her to the movies, they went shopping with her, lounged around his estate with her. Then, according to the complaint, they started making sexual references around her. Epstein sent her home with $200 or $300 bills to give her mother, since she's having a hard time right now and struggling as a widow. Now, the document describes how this made Jane Doe extremely uncomfortable, but Epstein and Maxwell made her feel she couldn't refuse them. Now, Epstein started paying for her voice lessons and insisted she couldn't advance her career without him. When she expressed hesitation, according to the complaint, Epstein and Maxwell would threaten and scold her for being ungrateful. Then comes the Mar-a-Lago incident. Now, this is absolutely shocking. According to the court document, during one encounter with Epstein, he took the 14-year-old girl to Mar-a-Lago, where he introduced her to Donald Trump. The complaint states, introducing 14-year-old Doe to Donald J. Trump, Epstein elbowed Trump playfully, asking him, referring to Doe, "This is a good one, right?" According to the document, Trump smiled and nodded in agreement. The complaint states they both chuckled, and Doe felt uncomfortable, but at the time was too young to understand why. Now, the victim makes no accusations against Trump in this filing. She's simply describing an encounter that happened, but it shows how brazen Epstein was, how he operated in plain sight at elite social clubs and around known associates like Trump. Now, over the next few years, the document states the sexual abuse escalated, and I won't go into the truly horrific details, but the abuse occurred at his Palm Beach home, his Manhattan townhouse, and his New Mexico ranch. In 1996, when she was 16, according to the complaint, Epstein moved her to New York City, first putting her up in his apartment, then co-signing a lease for her and her mother. He paid her tuition at a private Manhattan high school. The document states that once he'd made her and her family completely dependent on him financially, the abuse continued to escalate. But here's where it gets even more systematic. There's an audio recording that was released showing exactly how the recruitment process worked. In the recording, a young woman is asking about working for Epstein, specifically asking how much money she'll make. The response is chilling.
Talk to him. I'll talk to him tomorrow, and then I'll bring you in the next day to talk to him about it. I don't know. You're going to have to talk to him about it. I mean, I don't really work for him like that. I just bring girls to him and they work for him. So you're going to have to talk to him about it. That's what I'm saying. When you work for him, I'll bring you in and you can ask him before you work. Like, what can I do to make more money? The more you do, the more you do, the more you get paid. Okay, so I mean, I don't know. Talk to him about it.
Want me to bring my sister for you so like you could get paid more or something, or how much a girl?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm working tomorrow, and me and him are going to put a schedule together for you and your sister. So I'll call you tomorrow when I leave Jeffrey with the schedule.
Now let that sink in. To say that I just bring girls to him, that's not even hidden, it's transactional. It's a business, you know? The more you do, the more you get paid. This is how hundreds of girls got pulled into Epstein's orbit. Not by Epstein himself necessarily, but by other young women who'd been through it and were now recruiting for him. It wasn't just happening in America. Now, according to the BBC article, among the photos released is one showing Maxwell posing alone in front of 10 Downing Street in London. There's no context about when it was taken or why she was there, but it shows the access these people had. And even more disturbing, an email released in the files from August 2001. The email is from someone identified as the Invisible Man. The email, sent to Ghislaine Maxwell, opens by saying that the sender is, quote, up here at Balmoral summer camp for the royal family. Balmoral being the royal family's Scottish retreat. The email describes being totally exhausted from activities all day. Then comes this line, quote, how's LA? Have you found me some new inappropriate friends? Inappropriate friends. That's the phrase used. Now, the email continues. Let me know when you are coming over as I am free from 25th August until 2nd September and want to go somewhere hot and sunny with some fun people. According to the BBC, Prince Andrew has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein and has said he did not, quote, see, witness, or suspect any behavior of the sort that subsequently led to his arrest and conviction. There's also a photo in the release showing what appears to be Prince Andrew laying across 5 people's laps whose faces have been redacted. Maxwell is seen in the image standing behind them. So what does this tell us? It shows us a system. It shows us a network, an operation that spanned decades and continents, involving wealthy and powerful people who either participated directly or looked the other way. Now, according to the BBC article, Maria Farmer, an artist who worked for Epstein, told the FBI in a 1996 report that he had stolen personal photos she took of her 12-year-old and 16-year-old sisters. The complaint states Farmer believed Epstein sold the photos to potential buyers and that he threatened to burn her house down if she told anyone. Her name is redacted in the files, but Farmer confirmed the account was hers. Now, think about that day, 1996. Someone reported Epstein to the FBI for stealing photos of underage girls in 1996. If someone had acted on it then, maybe he gets stopped 23 years earlier. How many victims could have been spared? The files also include photos of Epstein with celebrities: Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, Diana Ross, Chris Tucker. It's unclear when or where these photos were taken or in what context, and it's unclear if Epstein was associated with all these figures. Previously released photos from Epstein's estate included photos he didn't take from events he didn't attend. Being in a photo with Epstein doesn't mean someone knew about or participated in his crimes, but what is clear is the scope. Now, according to the DOJ press release from February 27, 2025, Epstein sexually exploited over 250 underage girls at his homes in New York and Florida, among other locations. Over 250 victims. And according to the BBC article covering the releases, more than 550 pages of the first batch released on December 19th were fully redacted. One grand jury document had 100 pages entirely blacked out. So here's what we're left with so far. 10 co-conspirators mentioned in FBI emails with only 2 names visible, 8 others still redacted. A wealthy businessman in Ohio, and 3 others who were out of pocket in 2019. Were they ever found? Were they ever charged? We don't know. But audio recordings of recruitment and conversations, and emails about finding inappropriate friends, and court documents detailing systematic grooming of a 13-year-old girl, and hundreds of thousands of pages still unreleased. Now, this is clearly a financial system built around the sexual exploitation of children. If this is what's in less than 1% of the files, what's in the other 99%? What's in those 100 pages of grand jury testimony that are completely blacked out? Who are the other 8 co-conspirators, and why, nearly 6 years after Epstein's death, are we still asking these questions? What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. We love hearing your feedback. And as always, I'm Jakson Buhaj, and I will see you in the next one.